Hey guys, this is HD, and this is going to be game number 3. And so right now we are tied up 1-1, and Husky wishes me the best of luck as I return the favor. And so this is going to be a pretty good match, I think. I am Zerg on Metropolis, or Metalopolis. I don't know how to pronounce this map or even how to spell it. All I know is it's a pretty cool map with the city, and we're actually fighting on a skyscraper if you ever look at the map, which is really weird because some parts of the map actually have grass, and so it's a really weird map. But anyways, it is going to be a Zerg versus Terran, and so I get my favored race again. It is my best race, and unfortunately for Husky, he does get Terran. Keep in mind we are playing random, and say what's up, Husky.
Hey, what's going on? I just want to mention we just finished up that ZBZ, and you may notice this is random versus random, and yet HD has mysteriously gotten Zerg all 3 times. So we'll see if I can beat him with my off race of Terran, or if I'm going to get Zergling owned right now. But yeah, this is game number 3, and we are all tied up right now after that epic ZBZ of last game. And how I managed to beat him as Zerg is beyond me, but now I got to do it again as Terran right now.
Well, I gotta say, it kind of sucks being HD on the ladder because I think Zerg is my best race, but unfortunately Zerg versus Zerg is my absolute worst matchup ever. So yeah, Husky, you did kick my butt in the last match, but hopefully I'll get revenge this game after that humiliation. And so looking pretty standard for now. I'm actually getting a 13 pull. This is my standard opening build that I do almost every single time. So if you play against HD StarCraft on Battle.net and I'm Zerg, I'll get a 13 spawning pull, and then I get 2 drones to 14, and then I put down a hatchery. That's what I do every single time.
And I am playing Terran, and I don't even know what I do every time against Zerg. I think in this game I improvise a little bit. I don't know how effective the build I go is, but I wanted a high APM build, so we'll get to that though when we get there. And yeah, and it seems like you fast expand again, which this is actually what I have a difficult time against, is the fast expanding Zerg. I like the ones who just go for roaches, like I said, because they're so easy to counter, but you know my style, and you don't do that. You go for the fast expansion, so I'm going to have a much harder time dealing with that. And yeah, your overlords are in the middle. I hope that I can kill them because they are driving me crazy.
I still don't know where you are at this point right now because it is a 4-player map, keep in mind. And yes, I don't go for the 1-base roach build because I like to play the APM build as well. I like to macro a whole bunch of hatcheries because I think that's what StarCraft's all about. So that's what I usually try to plan to do. And I am going to try to get rid of this annoying SCV. And at this point in the game, Husky, you're being a little deceitful here, running the SCV down to the south. So I actually thought your base was down there, and notice how I start moving my overlords down there as well.
I didn't know you actually thought that. That is definitely the oldest trick in the book, is to run the SCV to a different area that does not have a base. So basically, I'm sacrificing this poor little guy all for the sake of you discovering where I am about 15 seconds later. But hey, whatever it takes, and I do in this game get a fast tech lab, because I'm always assuming the opponent's going to go roaches, and really Marauders aren't, I mean, they aren't great against Zerglings, but they're good against everything else, really. And so I do have my second barracks done, and I am starting a reactor, and also getting a fast factory, so I want to try and do some interesting play with the factory, because usually I just go Marine, Marauder, Medvac. I think that build we've all seen a few too many times, so I'm trying to branch out a little bit, get a little more different build in there, and get something that's a little higher APM, like the Hellions.
Oh, so that's what we're going to see this game, some Hellions. I better watch out then. But I did run up that ramp with a couple Zerglings to see exactly what was going on, because even as a Zerg player, you know you're not going to break the ramp. But you can run up a couple Zerglings to see exactly what forces are chilling there, and sometimes it can give away the build. And so I did see the tech lab when I ran up there, and I saw the Marauder, and I thought that was a little strange not to see any Marines, so I'm playing a little cautiously right now, just in case there might be some kind of a tech rush. And meanwhile, back at the base, I am getting a layer, got 2 queens, and yeah, right now just playing cautiously, controlling the map with my squad of Zerglings moving out and about.
You totally were missing out on my Gosu play here, where I built the reactor on the barracks, and then I lifted the factory out for that, and then I fly the barracks down to get a reactor so I can add it onto my starport. And so I have 1 Viking on the way, and there's going to be a reactor done right when that Viking finishes. Well, it's done now, and so when the Viking finishes, I'll be able to lift that off. and add it onto there so I can make Vikings twice as fast. And I see HD, your Zerging speed has finished, if you didn't have that already. So you're just running around, scoping everything out, trying to see as much as you can. Of course, Zerg really can't get their Overlords inside the base too far at this stage of the game, because you'll just end up losing it without getting much scouting in. But I do have the Viking out, and this was kind of the high APM I was talking about, is I have a Viking and Hellions at the same time. So what I'm going to be trying to do here is hunt Zerglings and Overlords at the same time. Now, one thing I want to mention, if you can look at the Viking and show just my vision, which, just do it really quick, the Overlord, the range of the Viking is so great that the Overlord quickly gets out of the range of the sight of the Vikings. So a lot of times the Vikings will actually stop chasing units, and that's something I had a lot of trouble with in this game. And my Hellions were able to roast up quite a few Zerglings there, and then trying to run in here, but of course, you are the good Zerg player that you are, and you have a second queen there ready to defend your drones.
Yeah, actually, I've got to say that Viking, even though you say that the Overlord gets out of range, they are so slow. They're like a slug in the air. And so notice, I do believe I'm upgrading Overlord speed. If I haven't already, then I'm a complete noob. But yeah, those Vikings are hunting down my Overlords. I think I was supply locked at this point. Yeah, take a look at that. 52 out of 44, and now you do get the scout over my base. You see, I have no Roach Warren. That is right, sir. I do not go Roaches. And so I do have a Hydralisk Den, as well as a spawning pool for Zergling speed. And so, right now, your Hellion attack so far has been thwarted. You haven't really killed any drones yet, although you did roast a couple good Zerglings.
Yep, it was that second queen thwarting it away, and so now I'm trying to get behind the minerals here for the Viking, but that queen being very annoying. She can really, you know, move it when she is on that creep, can defend it no problem. And so my Vikings, I don't know how many kills total they have. One Viking has 2 kills, and I'm still trying to fly around. And I think I may just barely miss this Overlord right here, although I just catch a glimpse of it. And so your days are numbered there, Mr. Overlord. And so this is what I'm talking about, is a high APM build, trying to use these Vikings, which are actually fairly slow, and they take a ridiculous amount of damage from the Hydralisks, I was learning, as this game progressed. So you really have to micro them well, and they do have very long range, which is good. And apparently they decided to shoot that Overlord just once, and then let him live for now. But yeah, it does seem like you do have quite a few Hydras, and you're moving out to the center of the map.
Yeah, I am coming to the front of your base with some of my Zerglings and Hydras, but unfortunately, being a Terran player, a good Terran player, you do have your infantry behind the wall, and there's no way I'm gonna, try to break that and lose the majority of my forces just to get up there. So I am just gonna retreat, fall back, and like any good Zerg player, grab another expansion up at the 12 o'clock. I do have a drone on the way there, but these Vikings are just being so annoying. Notice how I do have one Zergling at each watchtower, although the south watchtower was, taken over by a Hellion. There's no way a Zergling can take out a Hellion. But here comes the Vikings moving straight over my Hydras. Boom, and like you said, they do take a lot of damage from Hydralisks. And so, looking at my main right now, I'm actually getting an infestation pit. And the reason why I get an infestation pit, number one, you do get a hive. And number two, whenever I play against Terran, I almost always these days get an infester, simply for what I call the new plague-oo, which is that little fungal growth thing, which is a really good ability that I'll talk a little bit more about later. And you've been talking a little bit about APM. I am looking at the APM right now, which we're both we're pretty high up there, which is going to be a good game.
Yes, I was able to kill another Overlord, so it is supply blocking you, but this is really where my weak Terran macro starts to hurt me here, as you're pretty far ahead in supply, even though we haven't really had heavy losses on either side. And for some reason, I decided to try and sneak an expansion down here in the bottom center instead of getting my natural, and I actually built my command center at the location where I could quickly fly it to the natural. And I was just like, no, I want a planetary fortress. So I will went ahead and flew it down here to the right side, which of course hides it a little bit better. Still trying to do some harassment here with the Vikings, but no dice there. And so it does let it hide it a little bit, but it leaves it a lot more vulnerable, as my command center is currently just kind of chilling out there, being a total boss. But yeah, I'm killing even more Overlords, and I'm not sure how many I've killed by now, but several. And didn't supply block you, unfortunately, that time. And I'm trying to catch up in supply as best I can. Although, if you guys look at my minerals, I could probably afford to get a third barracks. Usually that is what I get, is 3 barracks, and then the whatever tech I go from there. And I'm almost mined out in the main, so I'm getting pretty sad about that.
And you guys can see that I actually have, like, the majority of my army, I always put them on one hotkey for if I need to,